All right, Chrissa, thank you for joining the podcast. Would love to learn a little bit more about you, your company, and what you have going on. Like I mentioned, these are rapid-fire questions to get to know you, your company, and anything that really inspires you as a founder, as a person, as an individual. So first question is, what were you doing before you started Patientory?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. Before I started Patientory, I was working at a telemedicine company. It was a startup out in Soho, in New York City.
Nice.
Probably one of the only health tech companies in Soho. We were building telemedicine software.
Right on.
Telemedicine was a thing.
Really? Where did that company end up going?
They ended up selling in 2017, so they missed their chance before the pandemic.
Wow, right before the jump. I know, right when all those were necessary and like everyone was on board with that focus. What was like the inspiration for starting Patientory?
Well, part of, I led the insurance portion of the company, and part of the difficulties we face on a day-to-day basis was access to patient information. And that's always been a common theme throughout my career. Yeah. Started out in microbiome research, went into, hospital administration and consultant, and this is always, the common denominator.
Yeah. I just to jump in real quick, I was, for like some 6 years, I was in the pharmaceutical field, just as kind of on the front lines as an independent pharmacy, and a lot of it was the biggest issue was patient information, getting that information, moving it from doctor to doctor, and really like having accessibility to it and like quickly, readily available. It's crazy how that has not really changed that much. And I'm assuming from Patientory's point of view that's kind of the problem you're solving.
Yeah, and it's a massive problem, and we've seen companies come and try to do it and fail. We like to have a joke and say, the graveyard is full of people that trying to take on this issue in the past 15 years.
Yeah, it's wild. So tell me about the current traction. What traction is your company facing now with new technology, everything being virtual, things are being remote? It's more important than ever to like access information across states and borders and things like that. Yeah.
Well, we've made great traction, especially being one of the first, healthcare token sales when the ICO boom came out. And since then, we've successfully built out our blockchain platform. Mm-hmm. We've made partnerships. We were key in, just providing responses to regulations which passed, which now enables us to gain access to integrate and gain access to private health data so that our customers can have access to their information. So we currently collect data from over 24,000 hospital systems across the U.S. Wow. So we like to say, 97% chance anyone that uses the app will be able to find their medical records.
Wow, that's great. Just expand on that a little bit before we move on to the next question. Like, what are the mechanics behind that? Like, how is it able to access? Is it using kind of new tokenomic technology? What is so? Just what makes it work so well?
Yeah, well, as you know, you can probably access your health data today through like a patient portal or even Apple Health.
It'll take me a week.
Yeah, it's all centralized. It's all centralized solutions. So people don't realize that you're giving up your rights to Apple when you access your health information. And we've seen stuff like Facebook, taking healthcare data and selling it without, so there's a lot when it comes to centralized models. And I think what's important is, and where we come in and where we really find our value is that we're providing that custodianship or that ownership back to the individual.
Wow. So what's, now that we kind of jumped into crypto and it's being adopted across all the platforms and, there's a lot of regulation, but there's not, but there's a lot of like companies like yourself pioneering new technology and new ways to integrate and use this type of technology. Like, what are your biggest risks that you're facing today? What kind of keeps you awake at night?
Yeah, for us, it's the adoption. We've seen, companies that's been around, the wallets and they like to say it's like 1994 internet, you know, we've gotten obsessed with, you know, like the exchanges, you know, but it's still a large majority of the population that doesn't use it. So, you know, any new company, I would say, in this space, you know, has to go against just the earliness of, you know, and the education needed to adopt.
How much time do you spend? How much time do you think you spend educating your user as much as you spend building out, you know, product and features and things like that?
Yeah, we like to say it's simultaneous, but I mean, really? Like a couple of years, it's back to back, like conferences, you know, doing articles. It's just a nonstop education, like a marathon. Someone asked, like, aren't you tired of like talking about Patientory and pitching your company? And it's like, as a CEO, you can't be like, that's your number one job.
Yeah. What is your best? What I guess is your best tool for educating people or your customer base or those who you want to know more about Patientory? What's like your number one tool that you can get in front and educate people with?
Well, we definitely our website and our blog, like we're always updating, you know, providing more details. We actually launched a nonprofit that is geared entirely towards that, the Patientory Association. Because, you know, healthcare is such a conservative industry, you know, it takes years and years for even new technologies to be adopted. I mean, they're still faxing and using fax machines, right? So part of that, you know, initiative in launching the association was to bridge the gap between new emerging technologies in healthcare and you know what's to come. So we host webinars, we host like an annual conference. So we partnered with Smart Dubai and the Future Blockchain Summit, and we have ambassadors all over the world that you know can help to speak about you know healthcare's role in healthcare.
Is there like a certain company or countries that I'm seeing that you partner with different countries and organizations spreading the word and also utilizing your technology? Is there someone that you model yourself after, whether it's a company or a country that you're like, if we were to get our healthcare system as communicating in the way that they are, you know, Patientory would have X amount more growth and success? Is there anyone that out there that you model it after?
Yeah, well, I say the use case that everyone knows about in healthcare is like Estonia, because they were like the first to put out a national registry of all their citizens, and then, you know, decentralized technology. But, you know, it's a smaller country. They have like roughly a little less than 2 million people. But it's easy because it's, you know, it's a national system, whereas in the U.S., it's, you know, public-private.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre the separation between, you know, the providers and the networks, and it's almost like an oligopoly in a lot of ways with some of the provider networks, but it's also very socially acceptable to, you know, in terms of like, accessible, with certain like, you know, Cover California and other programs like that. I guess what's your long-term vision for Patientory? You know, where in, you know, however many years, where do you want to be? What do you want to see it as? What should the world look like if you are all successful?
Yeah, well, you know, our focus right now, 3 to 5 years, is again that going back to that adoption and user growth and onboarding. You know, we like to say, you know, we want to be the place to go to manage all of your healthcare information. Yeah. And 5 years ago, you know, it was just, people would just think of healthcare information as like your medical records. Yeah. But that's not true. Your healthcare information is, you know, your wearable devices, your genomic data. Now it's social determinants of health. So your zip code, you know, where you live and work. It's like so much factors into our healthcare. Yeah. And our overall longevity and health as well.
Yeah, no, it's wild with all the wearables now and all the data that's been tracking, and even companies now investing in their employees being healthy, like how much is incorporated in you being a healthy human being. And I feel like it's common sense, but it's behind in a lot of ways. So I guess outside of Patientory and the technology, how else are you pushing to help kind of bring on more of like a healthy, holistic human being within the world?
Yeah, for us, it's also making key partnerships. So we're 2021 World Economic Tech Pioneers, so we work closely with the World Economic Forum and putting out like white papers. Mm-hmm. So we co-authored one with like the city of Helsinki,
awesome.
Yeah, which was pretty cool. Yeah. And it was entitled like Data Empowered Society. So, this is something that, as we enter into, this new Web3, or people like to call it the fourth industrial revolution, governments and countries are definitely going to have to model their policies and start to implement these types of technologies.
Yeah, I agree, especially within, when facing pandemics, it seems as though technology is even that much more necessary for companies and governments to really communicate more quickly and, with the spread of viruses and things like that. Is there some kind of like built-in alert system now that you have in Patientory, or how are you helping on a global scale within a community of people to maybe like alert their, some kind of population to be healthy or to avoid, maybe some kind of spread or something like that? I know it sounds kind of doomsday, but we did face, the recent pandemic. Yeah. So just curious if you had anything to speak on that.
Yeah. We made something like that. I know like now, like a lot of, especially European countries, their governments built something like that. But we did have a tracker as a feature during COVID. Because we are a small company, our focus right now is really on maximizing the platform to get clinical trial registrations, which is, one of the number one problems facing the pharma industry today, and especially in underserved communities where there's like little to no representation in these trials. It's important, right? Because in any study or efficacy, you definitely want, that diversity of population.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess, in you as a founder, and you're being influenced by so many different key either people or information out there. Bonus question: what books or people have influenced you the most, whether it's now, in the past, or that you guys, I guess, that you kind of use as a compass for the future?
Yeah, well, I like, I'm like a sci-fi person.
Oh, I love
it. But you said movies, but I really loved, I know one of the books was either, To Kill a Mockingbird, but also The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
I'm reading that right now. That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of my top 3 books, and I think any entrepreneur or anyone that's doing like any new venture or, just on this journey of life, right? And what it means, especially, from my perspective, building something that's never been built before. Yeah. Like that book really inspired to really, instead of look at the final destination, like, be a part of that journey. Yeah. And embrace that. Key learnings along the way.
Oh man, I gotta get back into it. I'm a little bit into the book, probably a couple chapters in, but it really strikes me. One thing that really, I don't know if you have a favorite quote, and if you do, please share. But one quote that really stuck with me is the boy, what's his name, Santiago, right? Is that his? Yeah, Santiago was talking about.
Yeah, I read it in Spanish too. I read it.
Oh, you did? Do you speak Spanish?
Yeah. So I read it because I studied Spanish in undergrad, so that was one of our required read-ins, and then I went back and read it again in English.
Oh my God, that's 2 different experiences, I'm sure. I speak Spanish, and my family's from Mexico, so I have to do the same, but I'll do it in reverse. I'll read it in English and then Spanish. But something, but something that Santiago said, or in the passage, was that he looked at his father. I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have the book in front of me, but it's in my backpack. Mm-hmm. But it was talking about when he looked at his father, he kind of understood the limitations that his father had because he had to survive and focus on the next meal versus having and kind of his regret in that sense. He saw that deep in his soul. And for him as a child, his motivation was to see the world and kind of let the world teach him and learn from the different experiences that were going to come his way along his journey. And that resonated with me because my family came from Mexico and didn't have a lot of opportunity. So it was like, I felt like empowered to then pursue like really bullishly, the journey that I'm on, which is, going and founding a company and podcasting and learning about people like yourself. But do you have a favorite passage or favorite or favorite quote from the book that you could share?
I can't remember a quote, but just to tag on, so my family are also immigrants from the Caribbean, from Jamaica. So, and I think you really touched on, one of the themes of the book is this like theme of surviving versus existing, right? And sometimes we get caught up in the day-to-day, monotony, like the cotidiana, like they would say in Spanish, right? Yeah. But it's also important to like take a step back and exist, right? As a person, I think that's where we can draw on a lot of creativity too, right? And new things would come easily if we all just like existed. I love that sentiment. It's like the openness to being present in the world is like, it's going to bear a lot of mental fruit. It's going to bear a lot of relationships that are going to be successful, and overall the journey is so important for anything that you pursue. Yeah, exactly. Well, cool. Well, those are all my questions. Thank you so much for joining the show. I'll have things wrapped up soon, and let us know, where can we find you? Where can we support you? Where can we find Patientory? How can we get involved? Can I download it on my phone? Can I support it on a website? Where can I learn more information? Give me the quick rundown of Patientory and how we can get involved. Absolutely. Well, we're now taking sign-ups for waitlist. So, our website is patientory.com. You can sign up there. We are the app, so we are mobile friendly. It's like having a crypto wallet, but health information. Oof. And, we're actively always recruiting for trials, so you can get involved there, either on the website or by following us on social, Facebook, comment on our posts, Instagram, and, if you want to email us, the team is always looking to hear from the community. Join us on Telegram as well, at PTOY, PTOY, that's the name of the token, chat. Awesome. Well, you heard it here first. Thank you, Chris, for joining the show. I'm excited to see what your technology becomes. I will definitely sign up to get on the trial, and we will all follow you on socials and be a big supporter of Patientory. Thanks, Julian. Thanks for having me. Of course.